Now, Chapter 15 is consumer fraud. And you know what? I bet someone in our class has had something like this happen to them. I mean, I know I've gotten fraudulent charges on my credit cards before. I'll see something and I don't know how it got there. I'll call and they'll take it off. It's not a big deal, but something weird's going on. So, anyway, consumer fraud. This is anything that targets an individual. So, up till now, we've always talked about organizations, right? Small or large, public or issuing financial statements or not, but we've always talked about organizations. Now we're going to talk about fraud against just an individual like you or like me. Lots of crazy phone calls, sweepstakes, foreign money, counterfeit items, just all kinds of things going on. But the main one, seriousness, it's big. In 2011, they estimated that 25 million people in the U.S. were victims of fraud. That's a lot. You know, and I believe it when you think about if you're counting even, like somebody got charged on their credit card. That's a lot, and think of all the people I'm sure you know somebody who's had identity theft happen to them. So all kinds of things. I guess number one back then was fake weight loss products, prize promotions, unauthorized billing, memberships, internet service, work at home programs. So there's a lot of things that harm people that are out there still today, and we need to be aware. Identity theft is when a person's name, address, social, driver's license, when their identifying characteristics are used to purchase things, borrow things, use things in that person's name, but they're not getting the benefit. Somebody else has stolen your name. And it's a big problem because, I've heard stories of people just having horrible times fixing their credit and just taking care of their own business. Because once this happens, now they can't get their own credit and take care of their own business anymore because it's been wrecked by the identity theft person. Okay. So how does it occur? Well, there's a very common pattern. Once they've stolen somebody, it generally goes in stages. They get the information. They steal a lot of ways. We'll talk about that. Once they do, they get more documents. They might go online and look at your Instagram or something. Once they get your name, some social, some information that's usable, they go and try to get even more, which is why all this social network stuff is so wonderful for identity theft. Then they do something small to see if they can work it, some little small theft, using that person's name, apply for a credit card online or something, something nobody's going to be able to trace. And then they get larger and larger, and eventually they're doing crazy things like opening bank accounts, taking money, charging a bunch of things, even filing bankruptcy in that person's name. Just if they get pulled over, they say they're that person, and I've heard of people accumulating tickets and being arrested even. So it's crazy. It's very hard to fix. So common ways, they just ask for your information. They pose as somebody who should have that information, a government official or something, and they just ask you for it, and people give it to them all the time. They shoulder surf. They're behind you in line when you're paying for something. Dumpster diving. People do rummage. That's why they say, shred all that trash and all that stuff. They get your receipts. They get never throw away anything with your social security number on it. Of course, nowadays a lot of things don't print that stuff anymore, but just be careful. And skimming, this happens. I've definitely heard of even in Corpus. I don't know if I've ever heard of any in Kingsville, but Corpus, I've heard they put those devices on ATMs and gas pumps, and when you put your card in, it steals the information. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if there's any in Kingsville, but I definitely have heard it in Corpus. All right, so that's popularly credit card fraud. They steal your number, they steal your debit card number and your PIN, stuff like that, because you put it in there and then you type in your numbers and now they got it. They're just these little devices they stick inside the gas pump card slot or stick inside the ATM slot. Although I have heard people sometimes skim, I guess, manually. Like if you've ever given your card to somebody, like a waiter, and they take it off somewhere, dishonest people will write those numbers down and keep them and use them. So that's skimming. People steal many at once. They gather information from a business. They take a job as a receptionist at a doctor's office or something. Or, you know, they go behind the doctor's office when if they're throwing out files that aren't shredded. But, you know, imagine if they could open your file at the bank or at the doctor's office or something. Well, some people can. I mean, banks are constantly hiring tellers. People can pay tellers. I will give you $50,000. I mean, can you imagine if you could get the name, address, social security number, and bank account number of somebody, and you could get thousands of them by bribing somebody? That would be worth it if you're a criminal. So they sometimes mega steal, right? They can even complete a change of address forms. They could go to a house and say, I would like to steal from that wealthy looking house, and they'll complete a change of address form and have that house's mail come to them. They'll get bills, they'll get credit card bills, things like that. So there's a lot of different ways that they will steal. So you have to be careful all the time. How can you minimize this? Well, watch out for your mail. Some people, you know, have locked mailboxes. Never get those pre-approved cards, and when you get those forms for pre-approved cards, shred them. Don't just throw them out. Just check your credit report, make sure nothing's going on. Protect your information. Just protect it. Shred things. Protect your home. Protect your computer. Lots of strong passwords. Just, you know, it's just a mess if it happens to you. It is a crime. It's a crime, so they can go to prison. But if you suffered from identity theft and it cost you money, you can sue those people in court. Here's some statutes that tell you why it's in. So it's just, you know, depending on what they do, it's going to violate a different law. Once theft has occurred, you need to jump into action and contact your bank, any bank you think they've dealt with. Change all your PINs and passwords, anything. You can contact the FTC, the FBI, the post office, IRS. They can give you personalized PINs and things that you can use to file, because one thing they try to do is file your tax return and get your refund. Yeah, so report it to everybody. It's tough, I know, but you got to stay on it. And check in with agencies and see what's happening under your name and under your social, and report it. You can actually freeze these things so people can't apply for credit in your name, things like that. So check in with these agencies. On the next video, we're going to come back and talk about other consumer fraud that's not identity theft.